Welcome to episode 9 of Cult Flav is Going Off. I'm Sarah.
I'm Bryn.
This is Fry. We are still sick. We've been sick for like 7 days now, but we are on the mend, which is a good thing.
We were in the airport in Mexico on our way back, and I looked in the duty-free shop, and what did I see but a 2-for-1 special on bronchitis?
Ooh.
And I said, yes, please, I'll take 2.
Yep. Picked one up for me as well.
Because I'm nothing but a considerate lover.
So considerate, in bed or otherwise. It's been a week of languishing on the couch and binging TV shows between naps and doses of cold medicine as we work through this. And frankly, that's all our brains have space for at this moment. So we thought we would talk about the food TV that we've loved over the years. And hopefully there are some recommendations or something in there along the way.
This is definitely leaning more modern. At one point, there was every food TV show we could think of, and we kind of slimmed it down. So hopefully it's as cohesive as our Sudafed addled brains will allow.
Yep. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Fry is not here for it, though, so he is out. He'll probably be back. We've also got some questions on planning menus.
Something we're not doing much of right now.
Barely at all. Yeah, right now. It's
what
just
kind of soup are we going to pair with this bowl?
The same soup we've been having for the last 3 days because that's all we have the energy to make.
Listen, Sarah, I've been making you tomato and grilled cheese. I'm trying to seduce you.
It's true.
We're going to get there.
And for our Absolutely Rank, we've got a canonical ranking of food in video games with video game writer Chet Faliszek,
who you may know if you've played any of the Portal games or Half-Life, Left 4 Dead. He's made lots of cool stuff over the years, and we saw him in Seattle. Yep. We actually went to the Blue Sky office accidentally.
Yeah.
Because our friend is their landlord or something like that. It was a weird situation, but they had a lovely office, and they let us goof around and ask questions.
So kind of them to let us use that space for this interview. It was lovely.
The day before we found out we needed it to. Yeah, it was great.
But first, before we begin, we'd like to thank our sponsors for this episode, which is you. Hey.
Thank you to the 165 of you who have made the leap and become paying subscribers to support us making this stuff at the very least the same rate we're doing it right now. That means more creating reviews, more building out our community platform, more podcasts.
As long as we don't get sick.
Than we would have otherwise if I... That was a taste, y'all. That wasn't a week off. That was a threat. This is what it would be like if we didn't have paying subscribers. So thank you all for subscribing.
It's $20 a year if you're interested in supporting the show.
We are 2% of the way there now, monetarily. Not number of subscribers, but a lot of y'all are carrying a lot of weight. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. If you are interested in supporting the show and what we're doing with Cult Flav, you can go to cultflav.com/community. There's a button. There's a button.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yep. So thank you all once again. Let's get into some shows.
Let's do it.
Sarah.
Yep.
When you think cooking show, what do you think of?
The first show that comes to mind for me is Great British Bake Off.
Wow.
Or Great British Baking Show.
Great. Perfectly on cue. Definitely didn't read the list right in front of me. That starts with Great British Bake Off.
Did not. Well, it's also the first one that comes to mind for me in general because it is the first show that I ever watched that got me into cooking shows. I think before that, I hadn't really been interested in cooking shows. I think I'd watch over your shoulder if you were watching stuff.
Right.
But I was never really wanting to see the next episode.
You were there for the great Good Eats complete rewatch of 2011.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think I was there in support of you.
In support?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get them.
Yeah. Specifically, though, when I think of Great British Bake Off, I think of Janusz from season 13. Like,
wow, you're really reading off the list instead of like playing in the space with me.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about competition shows.
Oh, you want to talk about competition shows?
In general.
Ooh.
Great British Bake Off is, I think, the like crown jewel of the like cooking competition show, which most of food TV tends to be these days.
Totally.
There's a lot of it that is garbage that is meant to be watched in hotel rooms, I have to assume, because I can't imagine people watch this in their actual house.
I'm sure people actually do, but...
Listen, Alex Corniskelly's like recipes are pretty good. Watching her do a competition show made me so disappointed.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing with all these personalities and trying to like force them to like very corny competition?
Yeah, I don't know.
Great British Bake Off though, there's some corniness, but they're like forcing the corniness in there as like a bit, like
Yeah.
the intros, right?
Oh yeah, they know that it is.
The actual
They're
competition,
leaning into it.
the actual competition is so like earnest and lovely, and that's the thing that like stands out to me.
Yeah, I think that the Great British Baking Show has really captured a sincerity in cooking competitions that you just don't see very often. Most of the time it's very cutthroat and very everybody is out to get each other, and this seems like, I think, you know what I think it is, honestly? I think the magic is in the fact that most of the people on the show are home cooks.
Very intentionally. I do think there's a lot of other shows where that is the case, but in many of them, they're used to competing in some way, or they're like used to operating a restaurant on like very slim margins. And so
Totally.
everything is so cutthroat all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just an American feature as well, is like American shows tend to be much more aggressive. Like even like the Gordon Ramsay shows in the UK weren't nearly as bad. But as soon as Gordon got like a foothold in the US, it seems like he like dropped all of his Michelin stars, opened as many burger joint like garbage holes as he could.
Yep.
And just became the meanest, or like the most, probably the most economically beneficial version of himself as possible.
Sure,
Like,
he was just aggressive.
he's a shill.
Honestly, though, Gordon Ramsay also had a show that he shot in his
Ultimate
home.
Cookery Course.
Ultimate Cookery Course. That was in his home. That was a lot less
It was
aggressive,
great, honestly.
Angry. It was a lot more chill in his home space.
But that was, again, a UK show. Like,
cooking for his family.
all of his shows for the UK audience are a lot more restrained.
Totally.
They're a lot more personable and fun. Like, he's done a number of shows that were actually watchable there, and then everything he makes for the American audience is so cynical and like nakedly aggressive. Yeah, it's so weird. Whereas it's like the audience that knows him or knew him coming up gets a completely different side of him.
Yeah. I wonder why that is. I don't know. But I think you see that a lot in American cooking competition shows too. Just in general. Very fast paced.
And everything.
Very action oriented. Lots of lights.
Lots of moving lights.
Lots of production.
It's like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like the really dramatic. And then everything is cut on a cliffhanger. And it's like really obnoxious. Yeah, we were asked to be on next season of MasterChef and said no because like, ugh.
Yeah, it's not the vibe for us. I'm sure that Bryn would do a good job being on a show.
I would try and pick a fight, and that wouldn't be good.
But I would straight up panic, I think. I would not do well.
I think you're not giving yourself much credit, but either way, like, it's not the vibe.
Mostly because we work slow too. I think if we had to work under
time conditions,
a time condition of like 30 minutes, unless it was a show like Gastronauts, where it was a little more goofy, then
where it's
could probably
creative problem solving rather than just like But
something like MasterChef, no, thank you.
Well, MasterChef, the big problem for me is like, I don't know if it's still Joe and I think Graham and Gordon. Like, I've only watched a couple times in hotel rooms. Yeah. And I was so turned off by the three of them that I would like love to have it out with like off camera. I think you just see the anger on my face.
But I think that's what they want though.
Great.
Yeah. Which is why I was like, Bryn would probably do a good job.
No, I'm not that. I wouldn't be there to win once.
With a singular tear in my eye at all times. Like, I'm just ready to break down any second. I do also get that same very like high intensity vibe from shows like Iron Chef too. Especially today's Iron Chef.
The chairman's nephew bit is getting a little tired. The chairman in the original Iron Chef Japan was like so corny, but it felt earned almost. Whereas I can't think of his name. He's an actor who I think he was in like a bunch of old like kung fu movies and stuff. I think his name's Mark something.
Mark Dacascos. Shit, I can't pronounce his last. Dacascos.
Mark Dacascos?
Is that it?
Mark Dacascos, something like that. Oh, he was in John Wick. That's right. Yeah. So the original chairman, who I can still picture so clearly in my head, was very corny, but like the setup for the show felt in line with his character. Whereas Mark Dacascos as the chairman, like in Iron Chef America and now in the Netflix series, I can't remember what it's called. There's a subtitle for it. Doesn't matter. Is so obnoxious in a way that does not feel earned. It's not great. I feel like the Iron Chef thing really like soured the whole memory of it. It's one of those things where this thing that you loved comes back and it's maybe the exact same, but it feels so different.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much less polished than you remember. Nostalgia has that rose tinted goggles thing or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's also hard when you try to recreate something that closely.
Yeah.
I think it's also Mark's mannerisms that make it a little bit tough to swallow.
He's got big eyes.
Yeah. He uses those big eyes too, and it's a little creepy.
But then things like Alton Brown being like the explainer don't quite hit the same way.
Oh yeah.
Right now. Especially with Kristen Kish there, who like she knows all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like having it be explained to her by a guy just because he's there is like kind of a weird vibe.
But it also feels like Elton doesn't know how to communicate with people any other way. So it's
he
like
said
just
his favorite kitchen tool is his table, and that's bad.
I hate that so much. Where did I hear that?
It's the table where people gather
around.
around.
On a podcast or something that Elton was on, and he was like, they asked him what the most important kitchen tool was, and I was like, oh, interesting. I want to hear what he has to say. And he said, the kitchen table where everyone fuck off. Fuck off, Elton. What? The kitchen table? What a throwaway response.
You're a kitchen tool.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I think the best version of Iron Chef, if you want the Iron Chef vibe today, is a little anime called Food Wars.
Oh, God.
Which is, it's kind of Iron Chef if it was a high school.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, honestly.
And this show is horny.
So horny.
Mostly about food.
So horny.
Mostly about food. Some of the outfits, but mostly about food. And everyone who tastes things, their clothes explode off of them. Everything is strategically covered. Yep. And it's just like, it's food porn.
Yep. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
But everyone's
people get, like weirdly turned on by food.
Yeah. But the food is very lovingly drawn. And the ideas are usually pretty like realistic and clever, which is a really good combo. Like as far as food writing goes for a TV show, it's pretty exceptional.
Yeah. I will say I couldn't get past one season of it.
I think we watched most of season 2 and then we were like, okay, this is kind of falling off. Yeah. And, like can't stay interested. But the first couple seasons are pretty cool.
I was like, okay, I'll watch the whole thing.
I watched a little bit of the final season just to like see where they ended up, but like couldn't get back into it.
Yeah. It's hard. That one's a hard one to stay with, but
it's fun and interesting.
And horny.
And horny. I said fun and interesting, didn't I?
But I think my all-time favorite food competition show, this one came out I think during the pandemic, was Barbecue Showdown.
Okay, yeah.
But only season 1.
Season 1's great.
Season 2, I think there's 3 seasons now. Not as good. Does not hold up. Season 1, magical. Beautiful.
The clear winner took second place, and that was the most frustrating part.
The people that they chose to be on this show.
Everyone's a character in the biggest way. And none of it felt fake either.
Yeah, that's the whole time I think my mouth was just agape, just watching.
There's the guy who believes he's a sausage master and like loves to like do game. So he's like talking about like eating raccoons and stuff. He thinks he's a sausage master, but he can't eat salt, so he can't test his sausage for how salted it is.
Incredible.
There's like so many good bits.
It's so good. So then everybody's telling him that his food is under. It's so just if you haven't seen it, highly recommend watching season 1 on Netflix.
There's
it's so good.
The lady says herbe de Provence.
Herbe de Provence.
Which sounds like something I keep in my lingerie drawer.
She's always wearing pearls. Mm-hmm. That's her gimmick.
Yep.
She's got to wear her lucky pearls when she makes barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Love that for her.
And then there's the guy whose best friend, Big Worm, died. This one's for you, Big Worm. It's something we say all the time.
Everything is for Big Worm. It's just so good. And there's
Big Worm would have wanted it that way.
And there's one judge, Melissa.
The main judge, I think. I think
judge.
it's two.
She is the meanest.
She's so mean. She's a lot nicer in the next few seasons, and so like I think that's why.
Oh, but the first season, she's just so mean. It seems like maybe she used to run the beauty pageant circuit.
Oh man, yeah, it totally does.
She kind of gives me that vibe a little bit. She's judgy, and
she is a judge.
Terrifying and wonderful to watch.
Yeah, we're like, oh my god, did she just say that,
Melissa?
Yeah.
These are people.
The other competition show that I think is worth watching is the one that just won our Flavy for the best cooking competition show. Not to watch in a hotel room or something like that, whatever we named it.
Yeah.
Which is Gastronauts. Hosted by Jordan Myrick from Mythical, Sporked. They're all over the place. They're a comedian doing amazing work, and they're going to be on here soon on the podcast. We became friends after we did that award, but we'll get there. Incredible show. It's so funny. It's just a bunch of comedians like giving the worst like cooking competition prompts ever, and then having a good time eating said food.
Yeah, it's like the only competition show that I think I would be comfortable going on, because it just seems like it's lighthearted and just like goofy prompts, and people are just having a good time with it and trying their best.
It's not hyper dramatic or anything like that. It's just like, here's a weird prompt. Let's see like what you come up with. And usually they're really creative solutions to these things. And then comedians having fun eating the food, or like having fun commentating as they make stuff. Like, it's just so chill, so fun. The food looks genuinely so interesting all the time. It's an excellent show. Yeah.
And Jordan's outfits are awesome. Yeah, that's all we have for competition shows, I think. But then we get kind of into our educational shows, I think is the next.
That's probably my next favorite. Maybe documentary. But like there's a few really good like classic here. I'm going to teach you how to make food in the kind of like Bill Nye-ish vein. Or Julia Child-ish vein. Like those are kind of the two frames I think that people have for it. There's obviously like all the Julia Child and Jacques Pepin from all those years. Martin Yan. There's a million of these shows. I think the most recent PBS show was The Mind of a Chef.
Yeah, which was pretty good.
The first season was David Chang, and then I think they did another one. I can't remember what the other ones were.
I don't remember either.
But Harold McGee was a big component of this, which was really cool to me. He's the author of On Food and Cooking, which is like the seminal book on food science. Good Eats was a long time ago.
Oh, God. The Chef Show.
The Chef Show was pretty good. That was Jon Favreau and Roy Choi.
Yeah.
I think there's another season coming.
Is there?
I met Roy a few weeks ago, and he mentioned that they were working on a second one.
I don't see anything about it, but
when I met him, he told me two things. One, please don't review my new book. And two, we're working on a new season of Chef Show. Really excellent like animation design on that show. I wish there was something in this space right now that was like compelling, because I don't feel like anyone is making a show out of this. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a educational, like, cultural thing. Everything is just one-off YouTubers right now.
Yeah. I don't know. There isn't really anybody today, is there?
There's no, like, centralized reference point for this kind of thing in the way there used to be, which is a good thing in many ways. Yeah. But there's no one to, like, kind of, I don't know, coalesce around at the moment.
It's definitely not as popular a space as, like, competition shows. That's for sure.
And everyone's been trying to make Great British Bake Off the American version or whatever for a million years and just never succeeded.
I feel like it's going to be that, and like Taskmaster is going to be in the same boat, I think. Where it's going to be really hard for anybody to recreate. I mean, they did it in New Zealand, sort of.
Yeah. Well, Alex has talked about why it didn't work in the US, and it's because Comedy Central bought the rights and they tried to make a bunch of changes to make it fit a 30-minute time slot and like a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
I would love to see like a dropout version of Taskmaster. That'd be super cool.
That would be cool.
Everyone says that. That's not a new idea or anything, but
travel though.
Everyone talks about Bourdain. That's like definitely the one to beat. You had The Layover, No Reservations, and Parts Unknown. Those
Yeah.
are the 3.
Mm-hmm.
All of those are still available, so like you can go watch those. But I'm trying to think if anything has come anywhere close to him.
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people that have tried
Like Somebody Feed Phil
to do it.
is a
Yeah,
travel
I
show in
think
the same
somebody
vein.
Phil. I don't think he's trying to do exactly what Bourdain did, but I think he's trying to add a lot of, like, he's taking a lot of notes from Bourdain.
But it's
for
much
his
more
stuff.
like goofy and
Yes.
like low stakes. Whereas Anthony Bourdain was like doing cultural criticism along the way and like trying to make some film art and like doing goofy episodes about like absinthe where like they do a bunch of like dramatic Dutch angles and shit, which got really weird.
Yep.
But then also he had the cachet to pull like Barack Obama for the Hanoi episode, which is a great episode too. Mm-hmm. I think he starts by talking about like, if you ever visit Vietnam, like you're gonna hate Henry Kissinger as much as I do, is like the opening sentence or something like that. It's so good.
I think the reason that he's so hard to replicate though is because he is such a strong writer as a person, and so he makes travel shows like that look easier,
right,
than they probably are. I know there are a lot of like YouTubers that are trying to do something similar to like what Anthony Bourdain has done. I just don't think any of them are good enough at writing to do it, you know?
I think that's accurate. This is kind of something we run into with cookbooks all the time too, is like the food writers tend to be much, much better at making cookbooks. And I think a lot of people try and emulate their success to a much deteriorated product.
Yep.
The only other one I can think of that like attempted this kind of travel show thing was David Chang with Ugly Delicious, but that was not a fun show.
Yeah, I didn't like that show very much. I think I watched one episode and I couldn't get into it.
Well, I don't think he had the like ability to write that stuff. He also tried to make it about his famous friends to some degree, and Anthony Bourdain did some of that as well. Yeah. But Anthony Bourdain not only had like the food knowledge, but also like the charisma to carry a show in a way that like David Chang and random assortment of friends didn't quite make it work.
Yeah, travel shows are hard, or they seem really hard.
Getting to the documentary, we've got Chef's Table first, which can often be very hoity-toity.
Yeah, navel-gazy.
And very white tablecloth focused in a way that we're not usually super into. I will say that the barbecue season I thought was great. I think it's only 4 episodes, and the first one we've watched, I don't know, half a dozen times, which is about Snow's Barbecue in Texas.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Their photography's always been incredible, but as soon as their camera is aimed at someone who's just like unassuming and just like having a good time, it shines. But all the like writers and TV hosts and celebrities that they like talk to as talking heads, those really ruin it for most of them. And here, I don't know, everything just kind of like clicked, and it just makes for a great episode.
It's fun when you can watch somebody that looks like they genuinely enjoy what they're doing, even though they're like sweaty and gross.
And 90 years old.
And 90 years old. Yeah. They just, you can tell that they love what they do. And I think the camera did a great job of capturing that. Totally
agree. That's like the one episode that I like unequivocally will like rewatch anytime. Yeah. I love it so much. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Flavorful Origins on Netflix is also very good. It's one thing to read about a dish in like a book or online or whatever, and then this is taking Netflix's like excellent documentary filmmaking style and applying it to like regional specialties that you wouldn't be able to like have any access to otherwise, because it's still being made by like field workers and stuff. So incredible to watch. I absolutely love this series, but season 2 is where I would start. I think it's where they like hit their stride. We would watch it when we were charging the car. Yes. Most of the time. So like I totally get that. We're like eating lunch in a car.
Yeah, we used to live somewhere where we couldn't charge our car, so we would have to like
you would drive half an hour.
Our date night was like taking the car to get charged and like getting.
We had something we called charcuterie.
Charcuterie, yes.
Which was just potato chips and beef sticks and stuff. But yeah, it was great.
And we'd just go park it and watch some TV.
We could have called it charcuterie.
Charcuterie. I like charcuterie. All right. And then we get to our drama shows.
We watched The Bear season 1.
We did?
And we refused to watch The Bear season 2 because I don't feel the need to take on anxiety over glazing Thomas Keller.
Yeah, it's too stressful. I don't know. I think some people really enjoy that kind of like high energy, intense stress. But once you've worked in a kitchen, you're kind of like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be yelled at anymore. I don't want to like listen to people being yelled at anymore. I just want to chill out, you know?
So The Bear's not for us.
Yeah, The Bear's not our thing.
As soon as they teased that Thomas Keller was going to be in season 2, I was out.
Yeah, you don't like Thomas Keller at all either, so that's also not helpful.
I don't like his food. I don't like hearing about him for the billionth time. I'm over it. I don't like being in the same room as him again.
Oh my God.
Who cares?
This fucking guy.
This fucking guy in his trench coat and fucking trilby. Clown.
But yeah, that's what we've been watching.
I don't know that we've been watching it per se. It's like
we've been just watching all of these shows the last 7 days.
You've been watching what? Who's that girl? It's Jess.
Oh, I've been falling. For some reason, I fall asleep to New Girl so fast. So if I'm having a hard time falling asleep, especially if I'm sick, I throw on New Girl, and I swear to God, in the first 10 minutes, it's lights out fully. I'm done. I'm passed out. I don't know what it is.
I've only been watching things that I could like fall asleep to very easily. Like I can't like be like anxious to see what's next in this case. So it's like old episodes of Drive to Survive, 8-hour Balatro live streams.
Great. Excellent.
I don't know.
I love that you're so into Balatro.
Dude, it's such a good game. But
both
also
feet,
like,
Bryn. You got both feet in.
Dude, I'm so close to beating it. Okay. We got questions to answer. Let's get on to something else.
All right, let's answer some questions. Here we go.
We have one question that was asked in our voicemail that we got a ton of kind of similar questions in the comments on all of our Justine videos that just finished releasing this week. So we released it on YouTube first, and then once we got back, we started releasing them on TikTok and Instagram.
In the mornings before I passed back out, I would like hit send.
So we have a question from Barbara.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Bryn. Hi, Fry. My name is Barbara, and my question is about making menus. So I really love cookbooks that have menus and suggested pairings, but sometimes those aren't included, which can make it a little intimidating, especially if it's like a new cuisine, and I'm not sure how like meals are usually put together. So how do you decide your own menu pairings? Is it usually a shared ingredient, being a good place to start, or is it like trial and error? And just like, do you have any tips about how to figure that out? Thank you guys so much, and love all the content you put out. I literally deleted all my social media and only use YouTube to watch you guys. So thank you for all the thoughtful reviews and all the work you put into it. Bye.
Oh,
that was
that's
so
sweet. Thank you, Barbara. That's such a good question. And honestly, you hit a lot of the things that I was going to like suggest. So I think your instincts are correct.
So this question came in, and then a bunch of people in the comments asked how we picked the pairings for the reviews. So let's do this one first, and then we'll answer that one as well.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
For this one? Usually, so I'm very new to this also. And when I first started doing this, I was really scared that I was going to like mess it up and not do a very good job. And to be fair, there were a couple of food combinations that I would like think would go well together.
I remember one that didn't work.
And then I'd like present it to Bryn, and he's like, these do not go well together at all. But a lot of it is trial and error, so that you can find out what flavor profiles you like together. So there is that component of it. And don't be afraid to mess it up, because that's how we learn. I think you were right in like reading through the book to see if the author has any suggested pairings. That's a good way to start learning that stuff. And
even if they don't have a specific pairing, they might be like, this goes well with these other ingredients, which may appear in other dishes.
Yeah, totally. And then, and that's usually in the prose of a book. And then I think you also had good instincts with the like looking for like a through line is how I describe it. So is there like an acid that is common in like a salad that's also kind of in a main that you think might go well together?
I think there's only one
And
time
then-
that like method has bitten us, and that was with some vanilla dish in Africana.
Oh yeah, I think I tried to pair
It's like vanilla shrimp and vanilla something else.
yeah, it was like two vanilla things and they just did not
Yeah.
work out well together. But I mean, that's how we learn too.
Yeah.
I can't remember specifically why they didn't go well together. I'd have to go back and look
It
at
was
that
just
video,
a
but-
weird pairing, and I remember the author chiming in the comments to be like, "What?"
I don't know.
But everything else, like, yeah, I think treating it like a Venn diagram, like as long as they have some overlap, you're usually gonna be in like pretty safe hands, because if the rest of the dish goes with that thing, then the rest of this other dish goes with that thing that's likely to be good. The other aspect that I like to look for is like just like what patterns do you already know in advance. Like if you're having something really rich and something else is going to be like a grain dish or something like that, you're probably going to be in okay hands. So like looking at just existing patterns that you know well, or even doing like, here's something that's clearly like a main and here's a side and here's a grain or something like that is totally reasonable. The other question is just like, what do you like? So like if you see ingredients in both dishes that you like anyway, it's probably gonna be fine for you regardless. And you might stumble across something that is like a uniquely good pairing, but like there's no wrong things to pair together unless they just don't work for you.
Right.
That's literally the only thing that matters. So if it's to your taste, it's good enough. You don't have to worry about if it's like a good pairing traditionally. This is one of those things that drives me nuts with like people being like, oh, this is a beef dish, you have to have red wine with
Right.
it or something like that, right? Like who
You don't
cares?
have to. You
If
don't have
I
to.
like if I like white wine instead, or if I like rosé or whatever the fuck, who cares? It's not you drinking it. I don't care what you think.
Right.
Like this is fine. Actually.
Yeah, I think you have good instincts, Barbara. A lot of it is trial and error and just figuring out what flavors you really like and then trying to pair those flavors together.
Just flavor blast yourself, you know? Just
Flavor blast.
as much as good stuff that you like as you can into a single meal.
Amazing.
You don't have to worry about if it goes together. There's no food cops. Well,
There are a lot.
kind of, but for different things than that. Speaking of food cops, Sarah, how do you pair your review items?
My review items,
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of it, especially if I am in unfamiliar territory, I really rely on the author to help guide me. So especially for like coconut and sambal, I had no experience with Indonesian food, so I was like, I don't know how to even approach a lot of these pairings. So I really relied on her to help me put stuff together. So relying on the author is my first step.
Yep.
Like reading through the book, figuring out what things are paired together, and then from there, that usually gives me a pretty good understanding of like what else will go together with the book. And sometimes I'm off, like I said.
We'll sometimes ask them directly for like a pairing. This is based on something that worked really well in Diasporican.
Yeah.
We saw Eric Kim interviewed Ileana Maisonette and asked her about what the release single would be for her book if it were an album. And so we've asked a bunch of authors now what that would be. And usually we'll go for that pairing at least once if we can get a hold of them. We'll try and throw in at least one thing that like they're really excited about.
Justine had a few recipes that she was really excited about, but her cover image was the one that she was like, this is a sleeper hit. You guys should try it. We were like, okay, we'll try it. Yeah.
Did
So that
she
definitely-
recommend the Nduja but not with it?
No, she didn't recommend the Nduja, but that was just one that I was like,
Let's see what it is.
I don't know what this is, but they both have Calabrian chilies in them, so can't be that far off. So that's the other way that I do it sometimes too.
That's what
is
we're talking
like-
about, the through line.
Yeah, I usually try to find a through line, and it's like, okay, great. Both of these recipes use Calabrian chilies. Both of these recipes use apple cider vinegar. How far off could they be if they both use this same thing? The other thing to consider when we're making the menus for the cookbook reviews is the amount of the different types of proteins that we're using. So I try not to stick in one section too long with the cookbook review. I try to hit as many of the different sections as I can. And
So like a category of recipe?
Yeah, and sometimes that means, like, for proteins, it's like, okay, you have to try to hit chicken, pork, beef, fish, vegetarian, like anywhere in that category, but it can't be the same thing for like different days. You have to kind of bounce around.
Yeah.
If we can do a dessert, we will, but sometimes that's the thing that gets cut because that's the thing that we're usually the least excited about in a cookbook.
They usually feel like an afterthought too. Like there'll be like
Yeah.
5 desserts and 3 drinks or something like that in a cookbook, and we'll be like, well, all right.
Cool. Honestly, I think the best thing, especially for like a cookbook, if you really want to cook through something, is to just flip through it and look at the like recipes that stand out to you the most and then mark those and then kind of go from there.
Our sticky note tabs in the cookbooks that everyone asks about all the time, I'm sure y'all know probably more than anyone, but they're just the things that we got excited about the first time we flipped through it. Oh, he's so sleepy.
He's so sleepy.
I'm getting sleepy also. So should we go to Absolutely Rank?
We should go to Absolutely Rank.
All right. So while we were in Seattle on our trip, we stopped in and saw Chet Faliszek, who's been a member of the community for a long time. We've gone back and forth on TikTok as well. Like, I'm interested in video games that he makes. He comments on our food videos all the time, like our reviews. And so we're like, well, let's meet up in person. And so lovely. We had such a good time. This was the first one of these where we're like, okay, we're starting to like see the format coalesce. So this is an early one, and we're still kind of feeling it out. This one's much more interviewy. I will say that, but it was really fun, and we had a good time hanging out with Chet at the Blue Sky office of all places, which we didn't realize. But yeah, our buddy Jimmy let us use his office, and that was great. So
nice of Jimmy to let us in. Like, thank you so much, Jimmy, for letting us use it. Anyway, here is Absolutely Ranked with Chet Faliszek.
Welcome to Absolutely Rank, where we ask a guest to absolutely rank something. Today we've got Chet Faliszek. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Nicely done.
Excellent. I practiced. And today we're going to ask you to rank foods in video games.
Okay.
I think you've had a hand in bringing some pretty famous ones into the world. I could be wrong, but I guess we'll find out.
I think one people say a lot.
It might be the one that I'm bringing up first, which is the cake in Portal.
Okay, so for the random Portal cake sent to the office unsolicited by people we don't know, I'm going to rank that the lowest.
Okay.
Tell us about that.
It showed up in the office one day. Now, we appreciate that. We appreciate the sentiment. I don't know.
Okay.
It's risky either way.
Yeah, and we were just like, thanks. And then it was a dare of, do you want to eat it or not?
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
Yeah.
Of course.
So no. But then we had it professionally made and very nicely, and it was very good. But no now, because I have the worst allergy in the world. I'm allergic to chocolate. I love chocolate.
Have you always been allergic to chocolate? Is this new?
So my mom would say, oh, hey, as she got older, she's like, oh, adult acne. We both have adult acne. We keep going. No, you also have an allergic to chocolate, Mom. You just soldiered on. And it ended up, I have no acne breakouts. And then if I have cocoa, any little bit now, because I've removed it from my diet.
Yeah.
So like any tiny. So we've talked about trying to like implement it back in and take a bunch of stuff because I miss it so much.
When I think of video game foods, cake is the one that like stands out to me. So starting there.
All right.
I think
I'm not going to know any of the others, but okay.
I think you will.
Go on.
Wait, what is the rank of the cake? Did we rank that one? Is it A, B, C, D, E, F?
Because of the
I can't eat it.
Yeah.
A, C, F.
F.
Yeah.
Maybe not a food, but I think there's a number of references that could make it real. I'm not sure. Burger Tank.
Okay. Yes. So, yeah. Burger Tank. So we're going to say that's actually pre-zombification of everything in the world.
Yeah.
And
I think Coach has a line about
Oh yeah, he has a
burger.
lot about cheeseburger apocalypse and stuff. He is a big fan of a good cheeseburger. I was saying, so I don't really eat a lot of meat anymore.
Yep.
But every so often, I will go for a burger. So that I'm going to give that an A.
Okay.
What's your burger joint? What's your go-to?
There in Seattle, there's the place I was talking about, Stoneburner, which I really like. They took over a sandwich shop called Mean Sandwich.
Oh, we just ate there.
Yeah.
In Ballard, and their smash burger
Yeah.
I thought was really good.
I just had that yesterday. So much
2 days
mustard.
ago, yeah. Oh, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So ask
So
for
much
light on
mustard.
mustard. Ask for light on mustard.
Oh.
Okay, but so
I don't like mustard, so I was into it.
Oh, okay. I didn't eat any red meat for like years.
Okay.
I hung out with cows that played with a ball. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm an evil person now that I eat any meat. But so I had missed the whole smash burger thing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that existed. And then the first burger I had back was that burger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, they've made this better. Like wow,
nailed
this is so good.
Burger Tank A. Okay. Next, the standard ration from Half-Life 2.
So okay, it's not the Chinese takeout containers that are everywhere. So that's probably a plus. You probably don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
So, all right now it would be an F. But if I'm in the place where there's nothing to eat and I just want something that it is...
it's like an MRE, right?
Yeah, it's contained. It's not like, then it would be an A, right?
Okay. Situational A.
Yes. Yeah, because I would trust eating that, I think.
Super Mushroom. Super Mario Brothers.
So here's the thing. I make games for a living. I don't play Nintendo games at all.
Wow.
Never?
So when everyone else was playing Nintendo games, we had an Amiga, and we would we're in college, and relax and play like SimCity and have it go in destruction and stuff. The Nintendo was just for me a Tecmo Bowl machine.
Okay.
And that is all we played on it. And then occasionally other stuff. And then like I never played much of Mario. I think Goonies probably I played the most, honestly, because it was I worked as a daycare teacher, whatever, for a school of like kids who couldn't afford daycare during the summer. And our punishment to them was they had a Nintendo machine and it only had Goonies. And they could play Goonies if they were good. And if they were bad, they couldn't play Goonies. And if they were really bad, they could watch counselors play Goonies poorly.
Oh.
And that drove them insane. And that was like the best, like carrot versus stick. That was the best stick. And so I played a lot of that. So I think
we should bring that back, honestly, as like a punishment for kids.
It was so good.
If they misbehave.
Now watch older people play video games.
And now you get to watch mom try to play this game, or dad, or somebody who's like not well versed in
they lose their minds.
Gaming. Yeah.
They lose their minds.
I'm going to do a Fortnite now.
yeah, exactly. But no, I once got interviewed for like this whole big interview, and at the end they're like, "Well, hey, it's the 25th anniversary of Legend of Zelda. It's made the biggest impact of any game ever. What impact did it have on you?" I'm like, "None. Never played it. Any good?" They cut it out of the interview. The guy was just like furious at me. He thought I was like trying to play it. I'm like, no, I haven't. I just don't.
Amazing.
Like I just have a different language about games than that. So.
My handle everywhere on the internet is Super Nintendo, so they'll tell you where I land on this side of it. But Mario's also not my favorite. Like I'm just not super into it. Early gaming memory, and then nothing.
Yeah.
As for mushrooms, how do you feel about mushrooms?
I do like mushrooms a lot and use mushrooms a lot, especially as having family that not everyone eats meat. Mushrooms are a great stand-in for that, and so I would give it an A.
Okay.
Do you do like mushroom steaks? Is that what you...
We don't ever try to replicate meat.
Oh, good.
Like, I hate that kind of thing when people do that. I'm like, this is spare ribs. And you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, just
That's corn.
Yeah. But the good thing is, in Seattle in particular, there's just a lot of vegetarian options at restaurants and stuff. And
it's amazing how, like, diet friendly it is and, like, circumstance friendly. Like, everywhere is outside.
Yes.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Opposite end of the spectrum, very meat heavy. Chili dogs from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Chili dogs, F in real life. I've never liked chili dogs. Corn dogs, on the other hand, the entire Anacrusis 5th chapter is about going to get corn dogs. Because corn dogs are pretty much a magically great, perfect food.
How do you feel on hot dogs regularly? Like, obviously, meat, but...
So, I was a camp counselor at that summer day camp because the guitarist for the band I was in's family ran that.
Okay.
And the name of our band was Dog Juice. Now, everybody thought it was some kind of weird sexual thing or something.
Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a punk rock band, right? This is what you're going for. But really it was the grossest food, the grossest thing in the world to us was the hot dog water when you go camping. And so that's what we named it after. We this is the sickest, grossest thing in the world. And then no one ever got it that when they took it in really weird places. But yes, so hot dogs in general, fine if you're going to grill them up and stuff and have them, right? Or if I'm going to go to the ball game. Yeah. I'm not going to get the dollar dog or whatever that's made out of. But in Cleveland Stadium for baseball, it's not Progressive Field, but it's always be Jacobs Field to me. Hebrew National used to have a hot dog stand, and we'd get their hot dogs with the grilled onions. Nice. And that was an A. And chili dog, no. Because the chili's always bad chili.
Yeah.
Especially in Ohio.
Yeah.
Are you a pro bean chili or not bean chili person?
Oh, beans. Beans are part of it.
Yeah.
Beans are
I'm a beans part of it too. This guy,
really?
No beans. No beans.
Then it's not really chili. It's just like a sloppy Joe.
All right, we can go down this rabbit hole if we want, but
it's still very good.
Meat, tomato, chilies. It's chili con carne. Chili.
Yeah.
Like the pepper and meat.
But you gotta
it's not that complex.
I don't know. I always liked it with beans. I have had his chili before. It is very good without the beans still. But there's something missing. And the thing is beans.
I'm happy to put them in now because I don't really fuck with traditional food has to be this way or whatever. But growing up, my grandma put kidney beans on it, and they were always so gritty, and I was
kidney beans are horrible.
It's when you black beans.
Move it out of kidney beans. Yeah. Kidney beans are horrible.
Yeah. What's your go-to bean?
What's your favorite bean?
Probably black beans we use the most, right? Because they're the most flavorful and mixed with stuff.
Yeah. The best.
I think about grog from Monkey Island. And I do have a description here as well. Are you familiar with Monkey Island?
Yes. Tim Schafer's here.
Yes. I assumed you'd know of it. I just wasn't sure if you would have played it or something. The description from the game says it's a secret mixture that contains one or more of the following: kerosene, propylene glycol, artificial sweeteners, sulfuric acid, rum, acetone, battery acid, red dye number 2, scum, axle grease, and or pepperoni.
But it does contain rum.
It's
at least going to be a C.
Yeah.
You're a big rum guy.
We lived in New Orleans. Rum's really big down there. People make a lot of different stuff and got used to it down there.
It's our first experience going to New Orleans in January, and it was very fun. I get it. I get the appeal.
That is a city that changes every 10 years.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is it just because?
From what it was like how much it expands down Bourbon Street to used to be there's a Lafayette blacksmith shop. Used to be a piano bar that was very quiet, and now it's more in the middle of the strip, and it's louder and we got married down there. We lived down there. We go back down there, but it's still it just every time we go down, it's kind of a little different. Where we used to go canoeing, we had a canoe because we'd go the alligators. It's awesome, right? Yeah. There's houses all over there now and stuff like this. So developed.
Interesting.
I see.
So it's spreading out into the bayou swamp.
Yeah, it's the Lafayette Basin, I think, or Lafayette. I forget what the official. It's not swamp. We call it swamp, but it's not. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And out of the TikToks, there's a couple that started recycling in New Orleans because they didn't have glass recycling, and now they use that glass as sand to restore down
that's cool.
a lot of that area down there in the Mississippi Delta that's getting washed out.
That's cool.
So it was one of the first TikToks that I saw that I was okay, this is super interesting.
Yeah.
And then donated to them way back, and now they're self-sufficient and they have a giant thing going on. They're still, it's super cool.
What made you start posting to TikTok in general? There was a moment for me that I remember, but I'm curious what yours was.
So for me, it was actually going on TikTok. And it was at the end of Trump, Biden had been declared the winner, but we were all is he really the winner or not the winner? And I just wanted to see happy people.
Yeah.
And I took it on TikTok, and it was just people in New York City in particular, just celebrating and dancing in the street.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I need this. I
Nice.
need this. And then my feed was just happy people for a while, and now, it goes on and on.
Yeah. We spent a long time on grog, so I'm going to move us forward. From Castlevania, wall meat.
Wall meat?
Are you familiar with wall meat?
No.
You would break open walls, and there would be meat in there for some reason. And so the joke was always, it's wall meat or wall chickens or floor chickens or whatever. It's just old poultry, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to eat that. No.
So that's an F.
No.
Coming back around to the I'm not a big meat eater.
Let's give you the worst meat possible.
So I do eat I'll always eat chicken because I hate birds.
We have this bird. Let's go.
We have woodpeckers. So you're not allowed to kill woodpeckers. And so I am fine with anybody who kills birds. I have to say that outright. Because woodpeckers, man, God.
In California, I don't think that's the case. But specifically acorn woodpeckers, when we lived in Napa, would wake us up at 5 a.m. every morning because we had wood siding.
Yes,
and
exactly.
My landlord made a deal with me that if I went and shot them with a pellet gun, for each one of those, she'd give me a bottle of wine.
We have giant streamers hanging down from our house, these metallic ones that scare them off.
Oh, yeah. I've seen those before. Do they actually work? Because I've seen the CDs too.
Yes and no. Okay. We also do the pinwheels spinning.
The pinwheels
our whole house looks like some weird thing on top. It's seasonal, right? When they're nesting, they'll be really aggressive. But we're by the water, and so we also have seagulls will come. And when it's low tide and they're grabbing crabs, for whatever reason, our metal roof is a target. So some days, it only happens once a year, and I don't know why it's that day, but they will drop them onto our roof to kill them, and then eat them. And it is the noisiest thing. And the cats just look at us I don't know what's going on, but this is bad.
It's hailing crabs.
Yeah.
So noisy.
Okay, so chickens on the menu.
Yes.
Got it.
Very thematic for me personally. I really like ghosts. And I think the one time you eat ghosts is in Pac-Man.
Ghosts. I thought you said goats.
Yeah.
Goats.
I'm covered in ghost tattoos.
No, I thought you meant goats.
Yeah.
Goats.
I mean, that's probably a better one to rank. How do you feel about eating a ghost or a goat?
I would not eat either.
Okay.
Goats.
Another
Have you ever played with goats?
Yeah.
Goats are awesome.
Yes.
I
want them.
I would not. Yes, I would not eat a goat.
What is the best fruit to eat in Pac-Man?
Ooh.
I think technically it's considered a fruit in the game, I guess, but there's a Galaga in there. There's a key in there for some reason. I think the melon is the highest point value, but cherry's maybe the most famous.
Yeah, I'd say cherry is what comes to mind first.
Very Washington.
Yeah. No, it's cherry season now. So I like cherries.
Cherry's the win.
Have you ever played Stardew Valley?
Yeah.
Star Drop. It tastes like whatever your favorite thing is. Sarah, I think, had my favorite iteration of this.
Because it has you fill in your favorite thing, right?
At the beginning of the game, you don't know what it's for.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I was like, I don't know, butts. So then it's just you ate a Star Drop and it tastes like butts. And I'm like, cool.
It's strange, but the taste reminds you of butts. I selected one on Google image search that says, the taste reminds you of cats, just for you.
There you go. I would not eat cats if it tasted like cats, so it's going to be barbecue sauce probably.
Ooh, interesting. Do you have a favorite barbecue?
Like barbecue place or barbecue?
Or style, Texas or Memphis?
Carolinas.
Carolinas.
I like mustard.
Carolina.
Yes.
Mustard. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite barbecue spot?
Not anymore in Seattle. So when I used to eat meat, there was a place we liked, but it closed. And it closed because I never knew when it was open. No one could ever figure out when it was open. It was this weird
moving target.
Yeah.
Deliberately did not want people to come in because it was a front for something, but also had great barbecue.
They had a bar next door that had shows, and so I think it was just some nights they were too hungover to open up the barbecue place the next day or something. I don't know. There's a couple places like that in Seattle that I'm just
I heard there's a place like that by the stadium where if you see the lights on, go there, but the hours are insane.
But yeah, for an actual barbecue place, there's I think people like Jack's, but that's the Texas barbecue.
We had Wood Shop on our way in. That was decent.
Yeah, it was okay.
Up over here in First Hill.
Yeah.
If you're over there, there's a place called Communion.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, they're open late.
Okay.
Which in Seattle, the little secret, if you want a reservation anywhere, Just show up at 8:30. There'll be no one there. You can sit down.
Okay,
The
interesting.
city is so early.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But communion stays open late.
Okay.
And communion we really like. And that's like southern. Only place I think we eat okra in the city.
Okay.
And so it's a good okra. You got to go there.
Sarah
for
loves
that.
I
okra.
like okra.
Check their menu. It's not always there, but yeah.
Is it pickled okra? I love pickled okra.
It depends. Different. See, my favorite okra in the world is actually, how's this for city dropping? London. Have you ever been to London and gone to Dishoom?
We cooked out of the Dishoom cookbook. I think I went there when I was in London, but I don't remember it. I remember going to an Indian restaurant and liking it.
You had a real whirlwind trip.
Yeah.
We got nominated for a podcast award, and Sarah's like, I'm just going to go and hang out with my friends and like figure it
Nice.
out.
Yeah.
Their like breaded deep fried okra is just like candy. It is the best thing in the world.
If I go
Like
there,
my favorite food may be that.
Yeah. We did a oh crap, what is the Japanese
Okra no
pancake?
miyaki.
Okra no miyaki
That was my
For-
favorite recipe from Turkey and the Wolf.
from Turkey and the Wolf. It was so good. If you want the recipe for it, I'll send it.
Okay, we're on our last one.
All right.
Dr. Breen's Private Reserve from Half-Life 2. There's three colors, but we don't know what they are.
See, but he's probably pretty fancy, right?
Okay.
Because you're taking over the world. You kind of can.
Yeah. It'll get you.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Though I often the really expensive stuff's lost on me, so maybe yeah, I'd still go with it though. I trust it, especially in that world.
Okay. What are we saying for a rating there?
And I'd go A. I'd go A.
A?
Yeah. Because private reserve.
Yeah, it sounds fancy,
No,
right?
no, you should say small batch, right? Like everything's small batch. You're like, okay, yeah,
yeah.
whatever.
Whatever's in that machine it's never getting
Artisanal
refilled.
Small
Yeah.
batch, private reserve.
It was fun revisiting like all the like in jokes that were just hidden in the environment.
Yes.
For this game. How do you write something like that? I don't even know.
Oh, it's not the writers.
Okay.
Almost always it's the artists, right? There's like a lot of the jokes, like in the Left 4 Dead series, of like we're doing them all. And I'm gonna be like, hey, I want to have disco pants and haircuts because I'm gonna make a reference to it, right? Like it. But like that's a funny joke for me. But then the artist is gonna be like, oh, and I'm gonna make a bunch of other jokes of my own inside of this, right?
So it's like the environment artists just like having fun with it.
Yeah. And again, you just trust
That's
people.
cool.
Yeah.
So that's
Do you have a
all.
favorite like
Fascinating.
genre or something to listen to while you're working?
I have no choice. My brain decides for me.
You have no choice?
I just listen to a bunch of stuff and then it'll be like,
This one.
yeah. The song I did all of the Anacrusis to is this song, Tourist in the Range. I don't remember the name of the song.
Huh.
Even though I've listened to it 10,000 times because I just don't ever look at it. It just was on endlessly on repeat.
Fascinating.
And yeah, though I did Left 4 Dead 2 was Mark Ronson's Bang Bang Bang.
Okay.
I was looking for a New York woman's talking, and the background singer in that song was this woman, and I saw her thing, and then I listened to this song, and that song just stuck. I don't know.
Wild.
Eric wrote the original Portal all to Cold November Rain because he's the same way.
Huh.
We used to share an office, and like you have to write and
Interesting.
be separate, so
Yeah.
you would put on headphones and like you listen to music, and yeah, so we both have that as our, but no choice. And it never has anything to do with what you're working on.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
like it's not like that. It just
I wonder why that is.
I have to always like work to something without lyrics typically, and Anamanaguchi is like it's their first album, loop, and I'll get so much done.
see.
I was techno for some reason. I have to listen to like Blackmill.
See, you can give me lyrics, and I'll just drive the lyrics into the ground by listening to it so much.
Huh.
Like they'll stop having any meaning. Then occasionally it'll be
yeah.
like, oh wait a minute, wait, what?
Yeah.
But especially like the writing when you have to be like, hey, I've got to be coach again, and I haven't been coach for 2 months, so how do I get back in there? As a writer for games, it's like you write as the character, like what would the character, if the character's standing here and they're looking, what would they say? And then you're like, okay, now as the player playing the character, what would you expect that character to say? And now as a player looking at the character, not being the character, what would you expect to be said? And it's kind of like this mix of those together, and then sometimes they come together, right? But it's like I say all the games I work on, I play more than anybody else because I have to play them like differently each time. And my brain, thank God I'm stupid, is I can play it again and again and again, and it's still new to me, and I'm still surprised.
That's an incredible ability.
Still can see it fresh.
Ugh. I feel like anytime I'm working on a project, like where I'm designing something or coding it or whatever, like it's not narrative, but like I get so bored of every detail of it and like jaded with a feature. So when it comes out, I'm like only looking at the problems. I would love to have that ability.
Yeah. No, hey, my brain's a sieve that way. I can go back and play it again and be like...
Fresh start.
Yeah.
Fresh eyes.
Though, I still see the bugs. Don't get me wrong. I play Left 4 Dead 2 with our community, and I'll still be like, oh, we should fix that.
Do you have any way to like channel those behind the snes or no? Is it just... I'm sure it's...
So no, some of those bugs, there's a bug in that game particularly, Matt Boone will love this, where your hand just gets stuck out.
Awesome.
And clearly you should be able to fix that. And Matt, poor Matt, I call him out because he's like, no, fix this. I'm fixing this. And it still exists. Like occasionally there's just something that just, whatever reason, especially some of those old games from that era, because you had so much legacy code mixed in, and like there's just such a mess of things. If you touched one thing, it just...
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Thank you for spending so much time with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It was great hearing these stories in person.
I could hang out with your dog. That was
Fry's really
Fry's over
the
here
attraction.
in the corner.
I know.
Our little cameraman.
Yeah.
Such a good boy.
Just behind the camera.
Oh.
Chilling. Big stretch.
No, thank you for inviting me. It's great.
Of course.
It's great because seriously, I watch you guys all the time. So it is weird seeing you in person.
Isn't it strange? Like
It is
I've
weird.
watched so many of your videos, and I was just like,
Hey, Chet.
thank you once again to Chet. Thank you once again to Jimmy for letting us use their office. That was a good time. I really enjoyed that one. I remember leaving that office and being like,
I remember.
it clicked.
Yeah, I remember being extremely nervous for that conversation, mostly because I think it was like one of the first ones that we had done. And I was a little starstruck by Chet. So I was like, oh no, please don't fuck up in front of him. I thought it turned out okay.
Yeah, we had a great time. And it was a really lovely day. And we went and got coffee first and everything, and then hung out. And I mean, couldn't have asked for better.
Yeah, it was such a good time. And Jimmy was so great for letting us use this space.
Man, it was so weird to abruptly find Jimmy 2 blocks from our hotel.
Yeah.
What a convenient turn of events.
What a coincidence. Serendipitous.
Serendipitous. Okay. We're clearly getting tired. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for subscribing and being community members and all that stuff. If you'd like to become a member, you can go to cultflave.com/community. If you want to ask questions, you can ask them in the not the Getting Off channel.
Heyo.
Heyo.
That's a completely different channel.
That's a new secret channel. You can ask in the Going Off channel, or you can call
Brain's
us
getting off on being withholding.
424-419-3528. Sarah, would you like to go eat some food?
I would like to go take a nap.
I also would.